I'm Mike AD, and welcome to the Delta League podcast. This week, week 6. And before we get to the action, we will pop a beer AD. So, we're going to start on Monday in Detroit, where the Rock are hosting Phoenix and Miami. Detroit wins again. Detroit wins it. Detroit 24, Miami 23. One goal. Phoenix 18. Vasily Smiley, the coach from Phoenix, did not make it to this game. He fell ill and had to go to the hospital. This is the second time in 4 weeks that Smiley has fallen ill. Taking over once again was assistant Terry Fuchs. More on this later. Now, a Phoenix fan won a car by scoring on Mark Dupree during the second period intermission, after which the Phoenix team mobbed the guy. That guy was so excited, he tried to drive the car out of the stadium. Wow, it's just great sometimes. So, for Detroit, leading the way was Wilt Davola with 7 goals. For Phoenix, jack shit. For Miami, it was Silas Coffey and Maximus Brown with 5 goals each, and Tokyo Kortalewi with 9 blocks. And in the end of this one, Detroit once again picks up the 4 points. Miami, 2 points. Phoenix, nothing. Now, let's move on to Wednesday, where the Fallen Angels of Los Angeles host Dallas and Boston. And in this one, LA wins. LA 39, Dallas 18, Boston 16. Now, this is the second time in 3 weeks where LA has had to change their uniforms or come out with the wrong ones. Somebody messed up their kit schedule again, and LA came out in their white with gold and purple accents. Unfortunately, Boston wore their whites as well. Dallas wore blue on silver, so LA had to go back to the dressing room and come out once again with those warm-up reds. It's weird. But, this look might be the new look for the team, because this week the team's social media announced that the Fallen Angels will be changing their colors. There have been tons of people online saying that this team looks too much like the Lakers. And to be honest, they're right. But at the same time, the LA Kings had the same colors as the Lakers for years, and nobody sued anyone. This is going to be a cool development going into next year, and several teams changing their colors and introduce 3 more teams to the league. Now, Boston captain Mike Brenton came up with more cards than goals in this one. Perhaps something is bothering the guy. Maybe the fact that they're coming out on the wrong side of every game they play recently. Now, LA fans used a racial slur on Dallas player York Raskin. People are wondering what possible racial slur can be used on this pasty white dude. The LA crowd was jeering him and calling him a gringo. Gringo, go home, gringo. The league is going to look into this. That is a promise. Now, LA came out of this one with a couple of injuries. The most serious being the captain, Eric Rob Nicholson, who suffered a torn ACL. He's gone for 15 weeks, and his season is finished. Now, Jerome Jalbert sprained his wrist, but he's not expecting to miss any time. The Angels can't afford to be missing anyone else. Just as they make a turnaround, something else always seems to happen. Now, more injury news as Dallas player Lo Ang, who was recovering from an MCL tear, has come down with tennis elbow. It's going to add 9 weeks to his recovery. Now, on even more injury news, as Revolution rookie Konstantinos Papadopoulos, who's now home on a 4-week suspension for flashing a fan, now has broken his collarbone while moving a fridge into his Boston home. In 5 weeks' time, he should be healed. Let's hope he learned his lesson about keeping it in his pants when people piss you off. Now, for LA, leading the way was Jerome Jalbert with 8 goals and Bobby Sheffitz with 11 blocks. For Dallas, it was Nathaniel Mansfield with 8 goals and Bernie Tully with 5 blocks. And for Boston, it was Dudley Kashdan with 5 goals and Vasily Rollins with 14 blocks. Now, in the end of this one, LA comes out of it with the 4 points. Dallas, 2 points. Boston, nothing again. Now, let's move on now to Memphis and the Saturday matinee game, where the Pharaohs are hosting Vancouver and New York. And in this one, in a very, very close match, Memphis wins this one. Memphis 21, Vancouver 19, New York 18. Now, Memphis player Candy Farnetti, he made some waves this week as he showed up in a fur coat and an expensive car. It no doubt made everybody do a double take, that's for sure. When a guy plays for over a year and then out of the blue starts dressing like Snoop Dogg, something is up. You know, maybe he made some good investments. Maybe he won a 50-50 draw. Seriously. It's possible he was very smart with his money. Maybe he has a drug dealer or multi-platinum recording artist on the side. All I know is that it looked ridiculous. I just hope he doesn't cry when he has to file for bankruptcy. That's all. It's your money. Do what you want with it. It's nobody's business. Now, this has got to be pretty rough in those final moments with New York just scrambling all over when New York player Bart Spratt just launches Kolas Hottie out of bounds. I mean, he's got a yellow card for that one, but Vancouver was really, really mad at that, and they seem to maintain their composure. Now Hottie gets up, goes right after Spratt, shoots him, and starts laying into the guy. Now, teammate Kofi Dominguez, he tries to peel this guy off, but then he gets shoved. Then Hottie starts shoving his teammate, and the New York bench just goes crazy because their teammate is on the floor bleeding. The whole bench just jumps onto the court, half of them going after the ref, others going after Hottie. Hottie is punching players from New York. Players are losing their minds and trying not to get ejected from this one. Now, it's just pure pandemonium. And in the end of this one, Hottie gets black carded. His teammate, Kofi Dominguez, he also gets a yellow card. The entire New York bench gets a minor penalty. Everyone. This ref, Ben Spooner, he's been involved in some absolutely insane incidents. I wonder if he has a few stiff drinks when he gets home. If he doesn't end up in rehab, he could very well become one of Delta League's best officials. Now, lots of drama in Vancouver also as Andy Alway, was discovered cheating with the wife of teammate Ana Maria Chavez. Jesus! I mean, there have been at least half a dozen allegations of cheating in the last 2 months. These Delta League players can't take the pressure. Oh, man. So, for Memphis leading the way, it was Captain Khalil Claudel, 7 goals, and Gerard Sredell, 5 blocks, and also William Miller with 5 blocks. For Vancouver, nobody mustered jack shit. Now, for New York, it was Richard Mully with 5 goals and Luke Brownlee with 6 blocks. And in the end of this one, Memphis picks up the 4 points. Vancouver, 2 points. New York, nothing. Let's now move on to the next game, which is Philadelphia. They're hosting Seattle and Toronto. And if Seattle leaves, no doubt. Seattle, 60. Philadelphia, 27. Toronto, 19. It's not a typo. 60 freaking goals they scored. Word is that the Pirates player Emmett Ruan will star in an upcoming movie. No word what the details are, but he needs the money because, he had to declare bankruptcy last month. God freaking speed. Somebody get this guy an action franchise. Now, Chip Chiozzi got yellow carded in this match. That's 2 already. A defensive powerhouse like him can't afford to accrue too many of those so early in the season. Now, Shred player Suzuki Sato seemed to take great pleasure in tormenting Pirates player Evan Parawal. He hasn't been the same since last year, and Sato seemed to kind of love getting under the guy's skin. I mean, I'm not sure if this guy really knows who he's dealing with. The Pirates aren't to be trifled with. Turn around and they bust a load of 20 goals all over your ass. And then you ask yourself, who's laughing now? Parawal hasn't been the same since that injury last year, and it's possible he is still feeling lingering effects from that injury. Just gutless by Sato. Now, well, John Holmes Galucho was really pissed off at somebody, and that player was Towers player Ash Malik. No idea what precipitated it, but he met him outside after the game, and he waited there. Afterward, Malik came out and he showed up. The two of them appeared to have a very intense conversation, and it looked like it would come to blows, but then Galucho hugs him. Not the way you would believe it would turn out. I thought for sure somebody's ass was going into the plate glass window, but the two appeared to mend the fence. There is hope after all. Now, for Philadelphia leading the way, it was Suzuki Sato, 9 goals. It was Ray Rogers with 6 blocks. For the Pirates, holy shit, James Korn, 15 goals. Chip Chiozzi, 12 goals. Laurie Moss, 10 goals. Marnie Johnstone, 8 goals. Emmett Ruan, 16 blocks. They're putting on a frickin' clinic. Frickin' ridiculous. And for Toronto, Ash Malik, 6 goals. And in the end of this one, as if there's any doubt, Seattle picks up the 4 points. Philadelphia, 2 points. Toronto, 0. Now, we're going to move on to Montreal, where the Maelstrom are hosting Washington and Salt Lake City. And in this one, Washington wins a close one. Washington, 20. Montreal, 18. Salt Lake City, also 18. 2-point spread. Now, Montreal player and newly minted captain of their team, Edwin Milligan, used his joyous occasion to get himself yellow carded. Please set a better example, Edwin. Now, speaking of bad example, Till Phillips, he's on track to be back in a few weeks. Then he gets a brain cramp and gets suspended again. Now he's about a month from being back, and the team lets him come down to the court area. What happens? Edwin Milligan commits a foul on Elix Henderson. Phillips does what he normally does and gets involved on the court. That's the second black card this season. You know what that means? More to come. Now, there was a celebrity sighting in this game. Roseanne Barr. She was rocking that green SLC jersey, and when the camera went on her, tabarnak, they mercilessly booed the shit out of her. Let's be honest, if it wasn't Patrick Waugh or some French guy, they would have lost their minds. I think as long as she doesn't do the national anthem, all sins are forgiven. Now, word is that a major shoe company wants to produce a signature shoe line for Till Phillips. Are these people drunk? Don't ask that. Chevy deserves his own shoe. I mean, Till, until recently, a porn star masquerading as a sports athlete, they should give him his own Trojan Magnum line. Wow. Just asinine. Now, for Montreal, even though they won, nobody really mustered jack shit. For Washington, it was Farley Greenlaw with 6 goals and Brad Blagg with 7 blocks. And for Salt Lake City, it was Alexander Farner with 5 goals. Now, in the end of this one, Washington gets the 4 points. Montreal, 1 point. Salt Lake City, also 1 point. Now, let's move on to Chicago, where the Pride are hosting Denver and Atlanta. I need a drink. I'm sorry, I need a drink. Chicago wins this one. 38, Denver 35, Atlanta 5. This is like the lowest score in the history of Delta League. Shortly after this game ended, Atlanta GM John Coors was fired. I mean, this guy should have been shot from a cannon. This guy has been a curse on this franchise, and it's too bad he had to inflict so much damage before they showed him the door. No idea who will take over. More to come on this later. Now, Chicago captain Doss Hawthorne got disciplined again in this match. He's got to watch himself. That's 2 in a row now. This team cannot afford to fall back on bad habits because that's what got them into so much trouble last year. Now, the score clock malfunctioned in this match, making everyone confused as hell as to what the fuck was going on here, how much time was left, and what the bloody score was. And the game had to be stopped, and the clock had to be rebooted, and the footage had to be analyzed to figure out how much time had expired and what the score was before the malfunction. That is a first in Delta League. Now, some angry Chicago fans went after Denver player Randy Magnuson after this one. I have no idea what their problem is. They won the game. They were taken away in cuffs. I rest my case about the fans in this sport. Now, for Chicago, leading the way, it was Georgios Stokidis, 9 goals, and Cameron Baptista with 7 blocks. For Denver, it was Pooh McCarthy with 9 goals, and Larry McMaster with 9 blocks. Now, for Atlanta, I'm surprised they came up with anything. Fucking ridiculous. Casey Dobricka, 6 blocks. 0 goals. 1 goal. 0 goal. What did this guy get? 2 goals? This guy got 2 goals? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Fuck, this team is fucking horrible. Jesus Christ. It's horrible. Now, let's move on to the standings before I have to fucking start drinking again. Now, starting at the top, Seattle, 24 points. Detroit, 23 points. Washington, 22 points. Denver, 20 points. We got Chicago, 18 points. Philadelphia, 14 points. Miami, 12 points. Toronto, 11 points. New York, 10 points. And the fucking playoff line is drawn there. Underneath there, we have Phoenix with 10 points, losing the tiebreaker. Then we have LA, 9 points. Memphis, Vancouver, Dallas, 8 points each. Boston, 7 points. Montreal, 5 points. Salt Lake City, 5 points. Atlanta, 4 points. God, it's fucking horrible. Christ. Now, let's look at the scoring leaders after week 6. Up at the top, to nobody's surprise, Rob Donoff, Seattle, 63 goals. Laurie Moss, Seattle, 52 goals. Star Palmer, 47 goals. Cameron Baptista, 38 goals. Vlad Millet and James Korn from Seattle, 35 goals each. Mohamed Carnesale, New York, 34 goals. Alexa Saragossa, Denver, 32 goals. Chip Chiozzi, Amber Tagliabue, Finn Wehrle, 30 goals each. Now, on to the block leaders. Vlad Millet. This guy is a fucking ridiculous force of nature. Vlad Millet, Seattle, 46 blocks. Kofi Dominguez, 34 blocks. Harlequin Butcher, Philadelphia, 29 blocks. Alan Adam, Memphis, 28 blocks. Romeo De Rosa, Emmett Ruin, 26 blocks. Reggie Joagdev, SLC, 24 blocks. We got Kipper Grimmett, Mike Brenton with 22 blocks each. Poo Poo McCarthy, Vasily Rollins, and Angel Malloy, 21 blocks each. Now, let's move on to the league news. Now, update on Vasily Smiley. It was just food poisoning. Jesus, is somebody targeting this guy? Either this guy has to change his eating habits, or he has to bring his own food with him on the road. Sometimes grabbing a jerk chicken from that street vendor is not a good frickin' idea. Now, breaking news is SLC coach Pete Chu has been fired. Looking at their record this year, which is last place, and their poor record last year, management made the decision to axe the coach. Taking over will be Matt Farrell. I don't think this will make a difference, but the coach always seems to be the scapegoat for poor upper management. Now, because we all know the players don't put the teams together. Now, word on Atlanta GM John Coors being fired. It was performance-based. No shit. Now, the team has named Sam Malone its director of scouting to fill the GM role until a more permanent replacement can be found. Just what a horrible legacy this guy leaves. This team traded away draft pick after draft pick, made one bad move after another, and they sit in last place. This week was a new low for Atlanta. But at the same time, this has to be a wake-up call. This team needs to clean out the rot from its front office and start on a fresh foundation. Just brutal. Now, the league has investigated the incident where LA fans were using racial slurs on Dallas player York Raskin. Darcy DeMello said, "We rebuke racism in all its forms, by players, and our fans. If this happens again, I will be forced to contest the games in an empty stadium match. Don't test this man. This guy suspends officials and bans people for life. He needs a bobblehead with a big fricking hammer that he brings down on a regular basis. God bless Darcy DeMello. He's the greatest. Now, perpetual pain in the ass, Till Phillips. He got his second black card of the season, and he hasn't played a game yet. You heard me right. So Darcy says, black plus black equals 3. Now, that delays Phillips' return until week 13. Will this guy ever play a game this year? Jesus Christ. Now, and finally a word has come down on Vancouver player Kolas Hadi, who went on a rampage and beat up the New York bench and his own teammate. He's gone for 11 games. After reviewing the tape, the commissioner upheld the New York team bench minor administered by rookie official Ben Spooner. That guy is throwing around more cards than a croupier in a casino. Now, on to the mailbag. Matty V. Looks like the dominoes have started to fall in Delta League. First Pete Chu, now John Coors. Who do you think the next person to be fired will be? Well, that John Coors firing in Atlanta was a long time coming. I mean, Pete Chu firing was a matter of time. The guys who put these teams together never seem to be the ones who get punished when the team fails to meet expectations. It's pretty stupid, really, in my opinion. But if I had to guess, I'd say it's Rosario Diaz in Toronto. I mean, that team, even though it's currently in a playoff position, has brutally underperformed. And Filippo Awate in Dallas. A year and a half of futility. New York is already on their third head coach. What a whirlwind the Fire Demons were last year. And Miami, even after 23 straight games without a win, their management team is intact. Now, on to 24/7 Jello shots. Just heard about the LA uniform changes. What color do you think the Fallen Angels are going to pick for their uniforms next year? And I think there's a variety of ways that they could go. They could copy the Kings, who went to silver and black in the 90s. That's a great look, but it doesn't scream Fallen Angels. LA uses a blue and gold kit frequently as well, and have been using it more and more. They could just switch to those and retire the Lakers colors. But I like the purple. I mean, there's 18 teams, and 2 teams use purple, and 1 uses magenta. But I heard they're changing their colors, so anything is possible. I look at those practice uniforms with the yellow on red and think, change? Tweak it just a little. And those could be very unique and pretty boss. Now, time will tell. You know what? I'm holding a contest. Send me your LA uniform redesigns, and I'll hook the winner up with a Jonathan Monopoly jersey or a Scorekeepers Are Assholes t-shirt. It's on now. Real Piero Barone. Oh boy, here we go. Where would be the best place for me to sell my Maelstrom merchandise? This team is going nowhere, and I need to make a return on my merch before it's worth absolutely nothing. I've got a Kipper Grimmett jersey from the first season. I got a signed Stefan Grice jersey. I got an Angela Carlucci rookie card, plus a John Stein ice blue alternate. I was thinking about buying a Partenza jersey, but that guy is so soft, he'll probably be in the minors next year. So I don't want to throw good money after bad. If this team is going to stink the joint out, there's better use of my time, like cheering on the Shred. I don't think that Grimmett jersey will be worth anything more than sentimental value. but that Stein jersey, I mean, that'll be worth some money in a few years on eBay, especially if he ends up behind bars. Those Eduardo Steven jerseys in Boston started disappearing from the shelves the minute people realized he wasn't coming back. I think you made a mistake on the Partenza jersey, though. I think this guy will be captain in a few years. Now, that Carlucci rookie card, I would keep, but the Grice jersey might be worth something to a big Maelstrom fan. So, good to see that you're going to be a Philly fan instead. I mean, that city has lots of drama with no absence of controversy. You're gonna lose your mind, man. Good frickin' luck. Now, on to the shop zone. Montreal wears Stein t-shirt. And of course, the Boston wears Eduardo 420 t-shirt. And the always popular Our Fans Are Assholes. Our scorekeepers are assholes. Our fans are assholes. And a very popular London chatbert in black. Now, let's move on to Week 7 games and predictions. We're going to start on Monday, where Washington is hosting Montreal and Salt Lake City. Washington has been lucky with the teams that it has drawn so far. Salt Lake City hasn't been very good. Montreal alternates between crap and not good enough. So I'm going to take Washington to pick up their 6th win in 7 games this year. If the Maelstrom can't pick up 2 points against a sad sack team like the Swarm, I don't know what can be done to salvage this season. Now, let's move on to Wednesday's game with Boston hosting Vancouver and Memphis. And 2 weeks ago, it looked like Vancouver had turned their season around. And 2 weeks back, Memphis entered the first slash into the win column. So going into this game, you would think this was going to be competitive. Vancouver has had nothing but internal team chemistry problems, and Boston is dropping like flies. And Memphis is just the team to swoop in and steal a win. Now, let's move on to a Saturday matinee game with New York hosting Los Angeles and Chicago. And Chicago has a healthy roster for the first time since I don't remember. They've had injuries, suspensions, and everything in between hampering the performance of their team for over a year now. LA looks as if they're basically trying to get their season together and putting together a competitive roster, and now half a dozen weeks in, this team looks like it's walking wounded. New York looks like the only competition here, but they're down 3 players, and one of them forever. Now, I'm taking Chicago here for a definitive win. Now, let's move on to Miami, who's hosting Phoenix and Detroit. And Detroit has been stunning the Delta world with 23 points in 5 games. And to be quite honest, many of those wins were not definitive victories. They've got Miami, who missed out on a win by 1 goal last week, and have picked up points in every game they've played this season. This season has been, put it this way, this season has been so successful for Miami that this week they equaled last year's point totals. It's insane to think how bad their season went last year. The issue is Phoenix, with Detroit and Miami having a penchant for putting up less than 20 goals per match. Phoenix is gonna burn these two, giving each team their first loss of the season. Now, let's move on now to Saturday's game with Atlanta, Dallas, and Toronto. I mean, finally a game where the Towers can pick up some points. Atlanta is coming off the lowest score in the history of Delta League. A week so bad, the GM was fired. Dallas has come out of the starting gate with a loud, flatulent explosion of mediocrity, so there's only one result here. If Toronto can't pull this off, this team is a lost cause. Now, on to the final game of the week with Philadelphia hosting Seattle and Denver. And this past week, Seattle suspended superstar Rob Donoff. And if you think that will be enough to deal Seattle a defeat in this match, you're wrong. 2 weeks back, Seattle faced Denver and beat them handily. Philly isn't Denver. So barring some kind of miracle, Seattle leaves Philly 7-0. That's it for this week in the Delta League podcast. Join us next week where the action continues and never stops. See ya.
This is Delta 2.